friends. Welcome to Cross Stitch and Variety Show number 160, I think. Today is June 20th, 2025, the first day of summer, the date of the summer equinox. I'm Emily Williams in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, where the thing that's so funny about me saying January is because the weather is not January-like. Unless it's January in Australia, maybe. It's pretty hot. It's been pretty hot, and it's going to be hot this coming week. If I were doing a temperature piece, I would be thinking about how will I represent temperatures that are higher than 97 in my temperature piece, which I'm not doing a temperature piece, so I don't have to think about that. But anyway, I am recording this much later than usual. I have had a busy day, busy week, a lot of fun things going on. It was my birthday earlier in the week, and it's just a lot of fun. And of course, I realize that something is out of reach that I meant to bring to the fore. So I think I'll just mention it, and I will actually talk more about it next video. But it was a birthday present, so. Flosstube means cross stitch, and variety show means something else. And today, it's hard to tell what we're going to get. I have not actually had a lot of time to cross stitch this week, but I will show you Hannah Green, 1836. This is the Hands Across the Sea chart that I have devised a stitch along for, and I haven't been making a little progress on that. I've almost finished this section here, which is the June section. About this much of it is June. And you see I still have to fill in this chrysanthemum, fill in this flower, do another line of the over one verse. That was the original plan for the June assignment, but I revised my plan, the way I'm going to handle it. I really think that it is essential to keep moving on this solid stitching down in the lawn down there. And so I'm going to carry on with this and try to get some sheep or something in down there. I did put the picket fence in as a way to anchor what's going on down there. So here it is in its entirety. You can ignore, let's see, you can ignore from here over because that was a mistake. I started with my linen oriented the wrong way, and so I was able to leave some of that in because it can be the corner, the opposite corner from what it originally was going to be, but the stitches are going the wrong way right there, and I don't think that's going to bother me. We'll see. It might bother me, but I doubt it. Anyway, that's Hannah Green. This is 36 count, just the ticket, which is the called for fabric. And I'm using the DMC. I'm doing 2 over 2 for that. And it's very enjoyable. I'll show you under the roof of blue Ionian weather. This is charted by Golden Kite. I am about 9,300 stitches away from being done out of 72,000 stitches. So I'm quite pleased with that. I still can not say that I've done about 700 stitches maybe since the last time you saw it, but I am going to show it to you anyway because I don't have much else to show. But the archway here, this top part of the arch, is getting more filled in, and I have completed a lot of colors and blends. One day I just focused on doing colors and blends that had 2 or 3 stitches that were amidst stitching I had already done, and I finished I think 13 that day. It's very tedious to do that kind of work, but it has to be done. Every stitch has to be completed, and it has to be done sometime. And my kind of hope is to get some of these bobbins of threads out of the box to consolidate that. But that's not, it's not really any big urgency. And the big thing I worked on, when did I finish this? I don't think I had finished the basic sampler that Jane Boyer stitched. I don't think I had finished this last video, although I can't remember. Maybe I did. But I finished what Jane stitched. Jane Boyer, 1831. Recording later in the day is throwing me off. Yes, Jane Boyer, 1831. This is the, as you've heard me say many times, if you've seen my videos before, it's the antique stitched by a 7-year-old Jane, which is equivalent, or the same person who stitched Jane Boyer, 1834, that Leslie charted and I stitched 2 years ago. Last year. Yes, just last year. So I'm going to put a picture here of the nice, tidily pressed version of the sampler as Jane stitched it. Now, in this picture of the antique, there are sections, and you can see in the picture, where there are no stitches, and that's because the linen had something left over from a previous use of the linen. One of Jane's older sisters or cousin or mother or somebody had used the linen, and there was enough available that her teacher or her mother said, here, you can use this, Jane. And she actually ran into the old stuff, and therefore she didn't stitch anything there. So what I have done in this completed version now, I finished this. This is complete. This is ready to be framed for the model. Is I added some motifs in the blank spaces. So you can see down here, I added a dog, a rabbit, a candlestick, a duck, and a key into these blank spaces down here. And I have located 2 or 3 other things that fit down there that possibly you might like to stitch instead of the things I chose. And my plan is to chart those other things and to create the overall booklet for this that will lay out what Jane stitched and then give suggestions for how to use the blank space, or the space that on Jane's sampler is filled with random things from a previous use of the linen. And so that is it. And it's going to be something like Schoolgirl Sampler of Western New York, Jane Boyer, 1831, a sampler experience or something. And the stitcher can stitch the entire sampler as Jane did, and then make her own choices or his own choices for what to put in those spaces. So this I've stitched with DMC, 1 thread over 2 linen threads, and this is 40 count vintage Country Mocha. Such a joy to stitch on, and this is a very nice little sampler. I'll show it to you again. Very nice little sampler. So I'm gonna be working on that. I need to get that going soon because I think Leslie has suggested that it will be more saleable from the Leroy house if it's available during the summer when the tourist season is happening. I know that July 11th or something is the Oatka Festival, which is a festival in Leroy, and people come to that from all over the place, everywhere. It's a very nice small town festival. and people take tours of the Jello Museum and the Leroy House. And this is the kind of thing that somebody might buy as a souvenir, as a copy of this chart. So is it possible to get this piece framed and the chart finished, the actual chart finished, and the prose to be written there also before that weekend? Probably not, actually, but sometime this summer would be the goal. We'll see. I've really enjoyed that. In fact, I've enjoyed that so much. There's another sampler also from Leroy, which Leslie and I are going to collaborate on a reproduction or adaptation, depending, not sure which. We'll see how it goes, of which was stitched by the person who became the wife of the first mayor of Leroy. It was stitched by her when she was a child in 1797, I believe. So that's quite an old sampler. I mean, I don't think I've seen it in person. I don't think it was on display in Leroy when we had our event there. Was it just last October? I guess it was. Wow. I don't think it was on display then, so I haven't seen it. But once I do see it, it will be the oldest sampler that I personally have laid eyes on, I think. I think so. So that is all I worked on in terms of stitching this week. But I have other things to talk about because I'm Emily and I can talk, as you've learned. Couple of things. First of all, I bought some stuff because I watched other people's Flosstubes, and I can't even remember who showed this, but this is Teresa Kogut, Hello America. It's a book. There's 7 designs in here, and I decided to get this book because there's 7 designs, first of all, and they're all Americana type designs. And as you know, the 250th anniversary of the founding of the United States is in a year, just over a year. I don't know if I'm going to have anything to speak of stitched ready for that because I have so much going on in the other stitching to do, but maybe it's possible that I will. But I thought this book would be a nice one to look at to see if I wanted to do anything. Also, I've never had a chart by Teresa Kogut, and I was curious. So I can tell you, I can't show you because it's against the rules, but these are spectacular charts in terms of their clarity, and it's very large, it's very, it's excellent. And most of these seem to be charted for DMC only, or for DMC with maybe 1 or 2, some other thread. There's Classic Colorworks. It's listed for one of these. And unfortunately, there is no equivalent, there's no substitute, no DMC substitute for the Classic Colorworks color. But there's another one. Oh, there is one for this one. Never mind. There is a DMC substitute. But I think that Teresa Kogut believes that Classic Colorworks will be better than the DMC. And we'll see. I probably will agree with her if I were to stitch these pieces. But I'm very impressed with this. I like the designs themselves and the way the book is published. Very nice. Hello, America. I think this is fairly new, if not brand new this year. So I bought that, and because I can't travel alone, I bought, I'm gonna take this out, the cover sheet out of here because it's so rattly. In fact, I'll take the whole thing out. So I bought this chart by Ellen Chester, With My Needle, I'm sorry, is the name of her company. This was published in, I think, 2006. Yes. Ellen Chester is one of the program directors this year for the Queen City Sampler Guild in Cincinnati. And she has this design company called With My Needle. And I bought a chart that had 2 Quakers, small Quaker samplers in it, her own design, but Quaker inspired. And this is also her own design, original design, but Quaker inspired, of this little booklet that you stitch 12 pages, or 10 pages, and you mount them in such a way that they're front to back, and you use ribbon to hold them together so that it all folds up into this little accordion book. And I think that's a very nice way to finish something, and it's a pretty little selection of Quaker motifs and ideas. And so I probably will stitch this. And Ellen's birthday is also in June. Her birthday was earlier in the month. My birthday was this past week. So I was thinking I might start it this month. Now, when I had gotten the pattern, I realized that if this calls for, in order to make it the size that she has in mind, it is stitched on 28 count linen over 1. And I don't think I want to stitch it over 1. I just don't think I would enjoy it as much as I would if I could stitch it over 2. And so I think I'm going to stitch it on 56 count if I can find a piece. Well, I have a piece, but if I decide I like the color of it, 56 count over 2 using 103 threads. Or I might do it on 46 count and use 103s probably. This is set up so that it fits on a piece of fabric that's 22.5 by 11 if you do it over 1 on 28 count or over 2 on 56 count. That's the same size. But I would just have to have a bigger piece of fabric if I were going to use a larger count or a fabric that had larger squares. So we'll see what I decide to do. I have a 46 count that I think would be a nice color. And I also have a 56 count in Hog Bristle by Fox and Rabbit, which is a really nice sampler color. It's sort of tan and gray a little bit. But the problem with it is that it's tan, and this is a antique white is the, oops, sorry for the glare, is the color, call for color. So I don't know if it would be as nice as if I could find a paler, whiter color. And I also received in the mail this afternoon, so it's a good thing that I forgot not that I forgot, but I was so busy that I didn't do a video until now. I received a birthday present from Leslie in honor of our visit to Wales later this year. And this is a little bookmark kit. It comes with the colors to stitch this bookmark about Wales with the Welsh dragon on it. And 2 books that are about Wales. This is a book that's set in a tiny Welsh village with a hint of crime. Evans Above by Rhys Bowen. And this is How Green Was My Valley by Richard Llewellyn. And I've heard of this book, I've not read it. And as Leslie said, it might result in eye strain because the print is very small on the page as compared to some things I've read. But I will read those books, thank you, Leslie, and I will make the bookmark, maybe not exactly at this instant, but very soon, in order to bookmark my place in the book about Wales with a Welsh bookmark. And then the other thing I'll talk about is this new game that Cindy gave me, Fire Tower, Now, there are a lot of things that make me attracted to a game, a new game. One of them is if it has, nowadays, in my current philosophy of games, I want a game doesn't take very long to play. And of course, a game that has a little video that explains how the game is to be played. That's a good thing. And it says 15 to 30 minutes for 2 to 4 players. I mean, here's the box cover again. And I also like a game that has nice game components that are fun to play with. And this has a beautiful board and beautiful game components. And let me just pull out the game. The main part of the game are the flame tokens, which fit in this bag. And they are these plastic. And so, that you could definitely say that looks like fire. So Cindy gave it to us, and Byron and I tried it the other day, and I think it was fun. I think it will prove to be the kind of game that we'll enjoy. It will take 15 to 30 minutes, and it's competitive, it's spatial. You're laying your fire tokens on the board. You're trying to burn down your opponent's fire tower. It is not a very ecologically sensitive game, but anyway, that is fun. I also received another game which I will mention. It's called The Lord of the Rings, the Fellowship of the Ring trick-taking game, which is a collaborative game, cooperative game. And it's along the lines of the game called The Crew, which I've talked about on a video maybe a year or more ago. But it's another game that is a trick-taking collaborative game where the goal is for each hand for you to achieve all of the goals by cooperatively taking tricks such that everybody's goal is achieved. So an example of a goal might be that Frodo needs to end the round having 4 ring tokens among the cards that he took. Someone else may need to take exactly 1 trick, no more, no less. Somebody else may need to take the last trick, and things like that. And so we played through, when Susan brought it over, we played through the first 7, maybe, scenarios. And I think we eventually got through the first 6, and we played the 7th one a couple times and ran out of time. But anyway, that's very fun. The whole idea of a collaborative trick-taking game, cooperative trick-taking game, is quite an interesting one, as opposed to competitive trick-taking games like spades and bridge and things like that, which sort of makes this interesting because this game, Fire Tower, because you would think that if there's a fire in the forest, everybody who is in a fire tower stationed around the forest would work together to put out the fire. So the goal would be to have no fire at the end of the game. Instead, the goal is to take the eternal flame, which is in the middle of the forest, always burning, and to make it spread toward your opponent's fire towers, and for you to be the last person with a standing fire tower. That's just a bizarre idea, but I think it's pretty good concept for a game. So, deck news, it is finished, and the inspection was today, and we don't have the actual piece of paper, but it did pass inspection, so we can use it. We bought 2 folding rocking chairs for the deck the other day, and we have some other folding chairs. And at the moment, I'm not inclined to put anything that isn't a folding chair out there. I mean, we'll see what we decide as time goes on. The time to buy deck furniture is, say, September, when people are putting their deck furniture on sale, when stores are. So there is a type of deck chair that I like, which is the kind that there's some give to it. It has a wire mesh back and seat, and there's some give, so it kind of rocks. I mean, it isn't exactly rocking, but it's that idea. And I didn't see one that I liked the feel of, that I liked the way it felt to me to sit in it. But a lot of chairs are not comfortable for me because I have short little legs. So I often need a small lumbar pillow behind my back to make a chair comfortable. So anyway, that's good, and it's being finished just in time for us to have, as I mentioned earlier in the video, at least 3 days next week are forecast to be high temperatures above 98. I mean, some forecasts it says 100. So that is bad timing for our church because our church's all-day VBS camp is next week. We are going to be hosting 3 young men who are among the counselors for the group. And they do, of course, a lot of outdoor things, which if it's 100 degrees, they're going to have to think differently about how they plan that, their time, I would think. But this is the beauty. Our job is to have snacky food sitting out on the counter for them to eat when they are getting ready to go over there, and to feed them supper 2 nights next week, and to get to know them, and to be a quiet and peaceful place for them to stay for the week. Our job is not to decide how to manage the heat. That's somebody else's job, so that's great. Okay, and what else is going on? Well, it's hard for me to think of anything. I don't know. I think next week will be another busy week, maybe in a different way from this week. So I don't know. I really don't know whether I'll make a video next week or not. I'm thinking maybe not, just to take the pressure off and make sure that take the pressure off. That's a silly expression. Just to not have to give it thought the whole week about, am I doing things that are interesting for a video? Because I do think that way. I imagine most people who do a regular video think that way. I don't mind thinking that way. I think it's fun. I'm happy to be doing that and to think about what would be interesting to put on a video, because if it's interesting for a video, it's interesting for me. At least that's my theory. And therefore, if it's interesting for me, then it's part of my chosen life, which I enjoy. But I don't know. I don't know if I'll do a video next week or not. I think my original layout of my schedule was that I would not, but that I would do one on July 4th. Is that the Friday? I think it is. Again, I don't know. Maybe I will next week and not on July 4th, or maybe I won't on either Friday. I don't know. I will say that I don't usually bring up the idea that you should subscribe and click the notification bell, but these seasons when I'm uncertain about what I'm going to be doing and when I'm going to be doing it are days that are times when subscribers have a little bit of heads up about what I might be doing. And I also agree and realize that there is no way that anything I'm doing is very important. I have 5 Flosstubers that I regularly watch who've posted videos in the past week, and I haven't looked at them at all. No, I did watch Brenda and the Serial Starter. I did watch that one. But Audrey Mirren, Stitch Stitch Bead, put up a new video within the past 10 days, and so did Sean Periwinkle Stitcher, and so did Susan Stanley, Stitch in Time. It seems to me there might be another one of the people that I regularly watch, and I haven't watched them other than Brenda and Laura. So, and this has been a fun birthday week. Many birthday greetings from all kinds of people in all parts of my life. The ones that stick out in my mind are the ones that are just sort of, wow, it's so amazing that the two hosts, the two guys who do Cracking the Cryptic, Simon Anthony and Mark Goodliff, wish me a happy birthday. My son gave me 2 Sudoku puzzles that he created, which I have solved, and a computer game, and a gift certificate for another computer game, and these books from Leslie, and a quilt pattern, and a special ruler from Cindy, and many other things, countless other things. And I have a new deck for my birthday, and I'll be getting a new grill for my birthday in a week or 2. So it's been, a very wonderful, great, busy week, full of gifts and celebrations. Oh yes, and we went out to see, Cindy and I went to see Some Like It Hot at DPAC. That was hot. That was something. Makes me want to see the movie, because I'm sure the show is different in some ways, but it was a great, very well performed, well staged. The chase scene at the end was pretty funny and very well done. It's the kind of thing where there's multiple doors and the different characters are in and out of doors, and that they're back there, but they keep coming in and out of doors at different times, so we have to believe as an audience that they don't see each other, and that's how come the chase can keep going. And the rehearsal for those must be crazy. They must be very difficult to get the timing right, but it's so effective when it works. It seems to me the play Noises Off has some sort of scene like that, or maybe the whole play is kind of made up of people on stage and people backstage not seeing each other or knowing that each other is there. I can't remember the details of that. Anyway, it was very fun. And my table looks like a tornado went off in here. I'll have to clean that up. But it's been a very fun week, a good week. And I hope that you all have a good week going forward with cross stitch or other crafts that you do, summer plans, entertaining, whatever's going on. If you are in the southeast of the United States, I hope that you will not get too hot. There was more flooding in Tennessee. Not, I don't think, where our son and daughter-in-law live, but yeah, crazy. Anyway, that's all that I think I have to say. So many blessings to you, friends.